The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. And the stage is set. It is all done. The NFC and the AFC champions will meet each other in Inglewood, California, February 13th for Super Bowl 56. And of course, those teams meeting will be the Kansas City. Well, no, it won't. It will be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams, being the second team in consecutive years hosting a Super Bowl, which, funny enough, they will be the away team. So, LA being the second team in the last 2 years hosting the Super Bowl. So much to get into tonight. We've got a lot of great news to get to. We've got a lot of great guests, and let me introduce the first one from his podcast, Let's Tighten Up podcast, our good friend of the show, P. Shark. Let's get him in right now. Shark, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Again, got a whole lot better. Feeling a whole lot better.
Just a little bit of time is all it takes. It
Right.
seems some of the Titan fans are starting to ease back into transition. Reality's starting to set back.
Yeah.
So I caught you on last week's show, and everybody definitely got their venting session in. So as of right now, is your mindset a little more just, should we move forward on the quarterback situation, or should we just kind of stay fast and see what happens?
Nah, move. Well, like I said last week, I want to attempt, right? Because his contract, it may not be possible, but I just wanted to at least attempt. If not, then we got to move forward. There's nothing else we can do.
And speaking of teams moving forward, the LA Rams, 1 year ago from today, yesterday, it would appear that the Matthew Stafford trade definitely pulled off wonders for them, already paying dividends. And we'll definitely discuss a little bit of that going in. Thoughts on any of the games last night? Did any of them stand out to you?
Yeah, both great games. Even going back to last week, the last 6 games have been great. So can't ask for better football. The first one, of course, stood out with the comeback, 21-3. Right before halftime, the last play the Chiefs ran, Pat Mahomes threw it short, and felt like he couldn't do anything in the second half, and he had his worst playoff. That was even worse than the Super Bowl. That was his worst playoff game he's had, in my opinion.
In an 18-point deficit given up, not since the 2006 Indianapolis Colts coming back on the New England Patriots as a deficit comeback at that point. But we'll definitely get more into those games. But first, we got a lot of top news to jump into. So what do you say, Shark? Let's jump into the little screen.
Get it?
There's a man ready to get down to business, and here we go with today's top news. And starting out, what looked like to be a very fond farewell from a quarterback with an illustrious career, and some debate him as the greatest of all time. We're sat here waiting right now. So I have now initiated Brady Watch 2022. We are on the clock. Will he or won't he? Shark, I'll start with you. Will he or won't he?
I have no idea. My honest assessment, I would say yes, only because I think he decided to retire and the news got out. It didn't come out the way he wanted to come out. He wanted to give out his own news or in his own way, and it got put out earlier than he wanted to.
And it was especially early, from what reports were saying, that Brady wanted to come on, especially during the Super Bowl at that time, possibly sometime between Super Bowl week, and announce his retirement in person, which would have been fitting, and I can respect that. He's earned that right to do that. But definitely somebody in his camp has gotten an earful or been letting go at this point. But let's just assume, for argument's sake, that this is the end of Brady's career. What are some of the highlights that have stood out? Trying to build a little credit up for him, despite some controversy throughout his career. But I'll try and look at the positive aspects of it first before we get into that ball of wax. So, from a positive standpoint, what stood out to you most throughout Brady's 22 career in the NFL?
Man, a lot. 28-3. That's the first thought that comes to my mind. 28-3 against the Falcons in the Super Bowl. Him leaving the Patriots and leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a Super Bowl his first year after leaving. other things. I mean, he's done a lot. The 16-0, although they lost in the Super Bowl that year, going 16-0 after Spygate, after all of that, like to overcome all of that and go 16-0. He broke the touchdown record before they Peyton Manning re-broke it back when he got to the Broncos, but he had recently broke Peyton Manning's record that year in that 16-0 season. All the players he kind of made a career out of, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, all the guys he made who weren't really, household names that he turned into somebody, Kevin Falk. And it's a combination of both him and Bill Belichick, but like I said, Tom Brady's out there passing the ball to these guys. So, I mean, like, great career. He is the GOAT. And, man, farewell if this is the end. And it's going to be weird not seeing him on the football field.
And I'll agree with you on that. I was literally in high school at the time when his career started. And like you said, 22 years, it's basically just zipped through from some standpoint. And you just kind of just realize that, we got to witness greatness for a short time and now it's gone. But it's not without its marks and it's not without its question marks, of course, with Spygate and, of course, with Deflategate. And I'll let you pick on one of those and just say, I doubt it's going to hurt his chance in getting into the Hall of Fame, but of course you have to think it's going to leave a tiny asterisk moving forward. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, very, very tiny, but definitely. But, he was the poster child. They made rules out of Tom Brady, the Tuck rule. When he tore his ACL, hitting the quarterback low, that came from Tom Brady getting hit low and tearing his ACL. So they made rules out of him he's basically the reason quarterbacks got all this. You can't touch a quarterback now. It comes from the Tom Brady rules. So those are very small tanks, and especially because I think the Deflategate hits him more than Spygate. Spygate is more the Patriots organization and Bill Belichick. The Deflategate is more him, and he's the one who got suspended the 4 games, but he went out and won Super Bowl right after that. They're not going to remember that.
And the fact Roger Goodell had to hand him the Lombardi Trophy that year was absolutely hilarious, in my opinion. But really, to me, that game essentially just basically put him in position that he was the GOAT. I don't think there was any quarterback in that position other than maybe Peyton Manning, other than maybe Drew Brees, that probably could continue to compete with him at that level, but he just kept seeming to elevate himself. And I really felt that's what stood out to me the most while we watched Tom Brady play. But I would have to say, you also look at the teams that defeated him in the Super Bowl, mainly from the NFC East.
Yeah.
I think the 3 of those games were really good. But out of the losses, which do you think stood out the most in his career at that point that really motivated him to get over to the top?
16-0, undefeated. That was 19-0 right there, and they had the lead, and the rest. Eli Manning ended up breaking away tackles, throwing it up to David Tyree, helmet catch, and Plaxico Barrett scoring the game with touchdown. But it had to be done because he was literally going for greatness, and in my opinion, that was his first year to me that he became an elite quarterback. To me, Tom Brady was a game manager quarterback his first 3 Super Bowls, which was fine because he was a clutch game manager quarterback. But in my opinion, that's what he was before that 2007 season, and that's when he elevated to being an elite quarterback.
And we'll have to wait and see what Tom Brady wants to do. More than likely, I think the both of us think he will retire. So just in case, I'll keep Brady Watch 2022 underway. It'll probably be a very short watch, but maybe even a time watch. We'll just see how it goes. And shout out to our buddy Ryan Harris, shouting out to us, 2 of the Titans YouTube goats connecting. Well, I'm modest. I'll modestly accept that award.
Right.
Also, shout out to Lewis Chesney for always joining the show. Big fan. Good seeing you tonight, Lewis. Beating the Rams in the Super Bowl. And I never once called him a GOAT, just saying. Well, everybody's got their own opinion of him. I mean, some people consider him the GOAT, some people won't. But, I mean, basically, the Super Bowl against Atlanta, that was just the selling point for me.
That did it. Because before that, I was one of the people arguing. Like I said, I thought he was a game manager quarterback his first 3 Super Bowls. I was one of the people like, man, Peyton Manning never had his defenses, right? Like, Peyton Manning had to drag some sorry defenses. I was like, nah, Tom Brady had a little luck. But, after that 28-3 comeback, he couldn't. That was it. That was no more denying it.
Tom Brady just continuing to frustrate people even before he retires. But bringing up the Raiders, and I'm sorry we had to bring up the Tuck rule to all you Raiders fans out there, but some good news for you, if you are a Raiders fan, and it appears you have finally hired your head coach. Yes, Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels, of course, from New England, has finally decided, yeah, I'm not going to wait on Belichick anymore. So the Raiders and him officially agreed to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders going forward. P-Shark, how do you feel about this addition to a team that, well, is very basically just glitz and glamour right now?
We'll see. I'm still kind of, he didn't have a good run with the Broncos, so maybe, hopefully, all these years with the Patriots, hopefully he's learned some lessons. I'm still kind of confused. I guess I know why now. I guess he knew something about Andrew Luck. You remember he initially accepted the coach job a couple years ago, and then dipped, and then Andrew Luck retired, right? So I guess he already knew some inside information that everybody else didn't know. But I guess if you think, Derek Carr, to me, I think Derek Carr is underrated. I think he gets a lot of flack with, I can't name a good team he's played on, right? So I do think Derek Carr is pretty good, but they need pieces. They need some additions.
And I'll agree with that. And I'll also bring up, it will be his second stint as a head coach, but you look at some of the other coaches that have had success in their second stint. You've had Bill Belichick, of course. You've had Pete Carroll. I think if Jim Harbaugh comes back, then that's another successful stint that I could see going on. But, I could also add Bill Parcells to the mix because I think later on in his career, after his Super Bowl wins, the Giants really weren't the same team that he had in the Super Bowl. But, I believe that was the era of the salary cap that started and really started hurting teams, especially that had clusters of talent at that time. But with McDaniels, it's already come out in a report that he was apparently cheating, and they were apparently basically setting up game calls for Denver's advantage, and that was helping them out, and eventually they ended up stopped doing it, and they figured it out. So for a team like the Raiders, the word cheating comes up a lot. So I hate to initiate the two or make any kind of judgment call here, but is it kind of fair or unfair to give that assessment?
Yeah, it's very fair. I mean, especially considering he went to the team, for Spygate. So, kind of fitting. Yeah, it's fair assessment.
But I will give Mark Davis this. I will give Mark Davis this. They had to make a splashy hire. Brand new stadium. They went to the playoffs, so there's talent there. I just think it has to be molded the right way. I think Derek Carr can be serviceable. And like you said, they really just need to add some pieces. So what in your mind do you think Josh McDaniels has to do in order to avoid a second Denver, basically?
Basically maturity. I know he was young in that first stint, so he has gotten older. So just learning how to manage the day-to-day operations of the team. They definitely need, they had a lot of players, and it's amazing they made the playoffs this season with everything they went through with, the coach, John Gruden, and all that situation. Then Henry Ruggs and that situation, and their cornerback. They lost 2 first-round picks in the same season from the previous season. So they definitely replaced those positions, unfortunately. But for them to make the playoffs with the team they had now, they should be in the running to make the playoffs and possibly win the playoff game next year.
And Ryan Harris brings up a good point. Will McDaniels do Carr like he did Cutler? Mm-hmm. And I think the difference with Carr and Cutler is Carr's a better quarterback. Yeah. Cutler really wasn't invested.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He was happy getting a check. He just wasn't ready to go to that next level. I think Carr, I wouldn't call him an elite quarterback, but he's a very serviceable quarterback. In a right system, I think he can do good things. I think with the one he was in for the time being, it was serviceable to him. But I'm interested to see what Josh McDaniels can do. So
right.
I think the Raiders have a good coach. I think right now they've got a lot going on for them. Hopefully McDaniels learned his lesson and they can get forward and get on the right track.
Yep.
And, of course, on the hiring circuit, another hire that caught my eye. Buffalo's offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, had basically been hired by the New York Giants. Some familiarity there. Dable felt comfortable with the organization, and they went ahead and pulled the trigger. So the New York Giants, once again, finding themselves with a brand new head football coach and a brand new GM. So, Shark, with this hire, Dable's had a lot of success just about everywhere he's been, whether it's been at Alabama, whether it's been at Buffalo, being the coordinator, and now finally getting the head coaching position. You know, for his situation, what is Dable going to have to do in order to try and get the Giants competitive again?
Unlock Daniel Jones. I do think Daniel Jones has some talent. He showed flashes. He has a tendency to just turn the ball over at a high level, but he's shown like even running. Like you remember that time he had that long run that he tripped and fell. So he definitely shows flashes. Like I can see he has talent. So it's just bringing it out of him and lessening the turnovers, which he kind of did. I think Josh Allen has much better talent than Daniel Jones. But I mean, Josh Allen, his rookie year, even second year, he got a little better, but it wasn't what he is now. So it's just bringing it out, Daniel Jones. I think they got pretty decent weapons. So we're just really trying to determine if Daniel Jones is the quarterback.
And possibly another weapon that Dable could be bringing with him to New York could be Ken Dorsey, the offensive or the head quarterback coach right now. But of course, Dorsey's also in the running for the offensive coordinator position in Buffalo and is being very highly endorsed by Josh Allen. So, out of those situations, what would be the best fit for Dorsey there? Would it be best to just go to New York, or is he just fine where he is right now?
He's fine where he is right now, but man, it's up to him if you want to try. You know, you got Josh Allen. You want to try and make sure you got 1 year to make sure you try and turn Daniel Jones, bring out his potential. I mean, I'll stay with Josh Allen. It's just me.
And that's a fair point, but I do realize that, you know, most of the staff, you know, that Sean McDermott has had were guys that basically came over from the Carolina side. And just about all the coaches he brought over from Buffalo were from that area. And it's amazing to me just how close ties they have. And you really just kind of wonder, you know, is McDermott going to be able to just try and keep some of his guys, or can Dable try and pick some of those guys from that staff and bring them over to New York? So it's going to be kind of a custody battle right now. So I definitely am interested to see how that goes. But I agree with you. I think Dorsey's best fitted with the Buffalo offense. I really feel Dorsey's also maybe 2 years away from a head coaching position. But no surprise with Dable getting this job. The one thing that bothers me, though, is they have a lot of needs to fill. And one suggestion I've thought of is right now Saquon Barkley, is there value with him right now to somebody? Would it be worth trading him and trying to see if you can get a few picks, at least for this year's draft?
That's just somebody trade for him. I was one of the person I love. Saquon Barkley's talent, but his injury history starting to get Todd Gurley-ish. And you see Todd Gurley out the league at age 26. It's crazy, but it's literally injuries, and he literally gets hurt every time he touches the field, which is why I don't know who traded for him.
It'll be definitely interesting to see what Dable can do with the New York Giants. They seem to get some hires right, but once again, stepping out of their comfort zone, I think they've got a good chance here if they can get the right pieces around them. Also, looking in head coaching news, the Vikings had a very good conversation with Jim Harbaugh yesterday, and appears the two have some very, very interest in one each other. So I've really got a feeling that Jim Harbaugh is going to leave college. I don't think he likes the new transfer portal rules. I don't think he likes anything that's going on with college football right now, because it's basically just the wild, wild west at this point. At least the NFL has rules, so it's not going to shock me if he goes back. But Shark, with Jim Harbaugh, is the Vikings the best team for him, or is there somebody else right now that would fit him better?
Yeah, I like the Vikings. Jim Harbaugh, to me, he's a better. I think he got done wrong in San Francisco. In my opinion, he did really well there. I think he's a better NFL coach than he is a college coach, which, in my opinion, he's done well in college with Michigan, because I know they lost to Ohio State every year, but Michigan before he got back there was, they wasn't Michigan anymore. They were blah. And he got them back to even thinking that they could be in the running. Then finally got them over the hump this year. So I think the Vikings with their team, their coach, the Vikings have the talent. They literally just need a coach, and I think he's the type, that hard-nosed coach that can get into him and get the best out of talent, especially on defense, because their defense has been lacking lately, and I don't know why.
And another big concern, especially going forward, is the quarterback situation. Kirk Cousins' contract set to expire the following season. So it's no secret that Harbaugh can bring out the best in any quarterback. We've seen that when he had Alex Smith. We've seen that with Colin Kaepernick. And really, the biggest question is, does he feel he can seed with Cousins, or are they going to try and make a move like Harbaugh does because he's a shaker and he likes shaking things up? Is it worth going out this year in this draft and trying to move up and get a quarterback probably in the first round?
I say yes. We know league wide, we all know Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't it, but getting a quarterback in this draft probably makes the most sense. Like I said, we're saying it's a weak draft for quarterbacks, but most of the time when it's a weak draft for quarterbacks, those be the quarterbacks that end up being somebody. Pat Mahomes, I ain't gonna say I didn't think Pat Mahomes wasn't good, but nobody saw Pat Mahomes become what he became. There's just not many, except the Chiefs. Not many people saw him as that. That's why Mitchell Trubisky got drafted before him. I thought just Deshaun Watson should have went first in that draft, but that's off subject. But yeah, I think they should draft a quarterback and get ready for the move. Kind of what San Francisco did this year with Jimmy G, and the Chiefs did that year with Alex Smith drafted Pat Mahomes to sit for 1 year.
Jim Harbaugh, another big name getting tossed out, and a lot of questions. Will he or won't he? But of course, we'll just keep our eye on that situation, and we'll move forward. And of course, finally, the big question right now, every Green Bay fan is wondering, Aaron Rodgers, giving Green Bay a little hope right now from some reports. And the biggest question is right now, can they work something out where Rodgers will want to stay and finish his career out right now? But you got a lot of intriguing teams out there, possibly a Pittsburgh, possibly a Denver. So, Shark, on this one, what's the best move for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers long term?
Man, come to the Tennessee Titans, but I mean, really, to me, I would like if he stay and finish his career there. But if not, the Broncos just hired his offensive coordinator. So the Broncos have the talent. The Broncos have the talent. They are literally just missing a quarterback. Add a quarterback to the rest of their team, and they're contenders. So, yeah, I think the Broncos, the Steelers, outside shot, but they need the offensive line, and they need to get a little more help on the offensive line. Where the Broncos as well, but I feel like everybody needs help on the offensive line. I'm going to be honest, but I think the Broncos. I see the Broncos as the best fit. But with Green Bay, I mean, they did it to themselves. They drafted Jordan Love and then consulted them. So they did it to themselves.
And really, you've got some reports coming out that Rodgers could fit right in with Tampa Bay if Tom Brady does decide to retire. So would that be a good fit right there?
Yeah. It's a ready-made situation to win it. He just needs to stop choking in playoffs.
And that's the one thing people just seem to kind of comb over for one reason.
They do.
Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning have something very much in common.
Yes.
Their playoff record. Aaron Rodgers is 10-11 in all his playoff appearances.
Wow.
And I've always just felt it's amazing someone that's talented in the regular season just falls apart in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the big question is, with Green Bay, if nothing works out with Rodgers, what's their next move? What would be the best thing for them to go forward and do long term?
And they kind of got no choice. They drafted Jordan Love. They traded up for him, and that's the reason they're in this spot right now. So they got to see what they got.
But out of all those quarterbacks in the draft, and it's a very, very thin draft, I think, outside of maybe 3 guys, is there anybody that would stand out that could possibly fall in the lower rounds?
For them to battle with Jordan Love, it depends on how far. It depends on how the quarterbacks go. Like, where they all go in the teams. I think it's Kenny Pickett, Matt Carroll, and It's somebody I'm missing. That's kind of like the top three quarterbacks right now. Then you got Desmond Ritter, who would be down there. Malik Willis might fall down. If I'm them, I'll stick. They drafting Jordan Love. I got to see what we got in Jordan Love, like they did when Aaron Rodgers, when Brett Favre. They got to go and see what they got. They traded up for him. Got to put him out there and see.
And shout out to Ryan Harris, because I did forget to mention this. Green Bay's cap situation is really bad, and it is. I think right now they're $46 million over the cap. So you really have to think, especially when you're trying to keep Devontae Adams, which I don't think that's going to be possible now, and you're trying to keep Aaron Rodgers. Really, the Green Bay Packers are probably going to have to make a lot of cuts, and it's probably going to be a team that puts itself in a bad situation because I don't think they drafted the right quarterback. I mean, with Jordan Love, we've only seen flashes, and it's not anything flashy, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So, Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, could they? Will they? We'll have to wait and see, but from a cap standpoint and everything else, it's very questionable going forward. Well, all right, guys. We've gotten through our first segment. Let's take a quick 30-second break, and when we come back, Shark and I are going to break down the NFC and the AFC championship games, what we liked, what we didn't like, and they'll set up everything for Super Bowl 56. I'm Michael Bishop with the Power Hour, and we'll be right back after this 30-second break. Tired of not being able to find It's that simple. So sit back, relax, and watch every old episode, and new ones drop every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget, subscribe, like, and ring the bell for more content. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. And don't forget, friends, if you love the show, help it grow, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at The Power Hour 615. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, like, subscribe, and ring the bell on your way out. It's very much appreciated. And our good friend P. Shark, we're glad to have him on the show tonight, and I wanted to give him a chance to give a shout-out where to find him and his formats.
Yep, man. Appreciate you inviting me on again. Follow me on Twitter at LBRTitanUp or and my personal account at the1_P Shark, as you see at the top of the screen. Check me out my podcast on YouTube at Let's Tighten Up Pod, or also audio on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast, you can listen to me on.
He's one of the Titan goats for a reason, so get out there and check out his stuff and see why. He is the GOT, or the GOAT. I can't spell today. My spelling be bad. All right, guys, let's jump into it. The AFC and NFC games have been set and matched, and we are ready to go. It'll be the Los Angeles Rams against the Cincinnati Bengals at SoFi Stadium on February 13th at 6:18 p.m. Eastern. Jumping into our first game, it was a really great game going into overtime, and the Bengals prevailed 27-24 over the Kansas City Chiefs. And Shark, with this game, you just got a really great offensive showing, especially in the last two quarters. And what looked like the Chiefs were going to dominate and possibly walk away with an easy win, what happened?
Man, one, they tried to get cute at the end of the first half, and they gave the Cincinnati Bengals defense confidence, and the Cincinnati Bengals defense flipped the game around, because that was one of the best defensive efforts I've seen in a while, especially from a defense that I didn't perceive to be that good. They know how to force turnovers. So when they get a chance to get a turnover, they're going to get it. So shout out to the Bengals, man. Their defensive performance in the second half on Pat Mahomes and the receivers, because even when Pat Mahomes had time to throw the ball, like, he had nobody to throw it to. Like, that tripped me out. Like, man, they holding their own in the secondary. Eli Apple was getting killed the first half. He was the laughing stock on Twitter, trendy on Twitter. Second half, he turned it around. So, man, you just got to give them a shout out. Their defense played a heck of a game.
And I've never seen a corner have such a bad first half and just totally redeem himself the way Eli Apple did. It was just simply amazing, really. So you got to give a lot of credit to the Cincinnati defense, especially one that just seems just so on and off at times.
Mm-hmm.
Is there just anything in particular that just stands out to you, especially against the defense that's really particularly not supposed to be this good against the run, but in the playoffs has been a huge difference maker?
Yeah, I think it's one, the Chiefs stopped running the ball. That hurt them. They just went to pass, and got impatient. And I really just think I don't know what, that last play before halftime, it just felt like they got in their heads and they just never got out of it. It just felt like it was their mentality. The rest of the game was like, man, we missed the opportunity, and they kept giving Cincinnati Bengals chance after chance because Cincinnati's offense got more efficient as the game went on, but they still did take advantage of opportunities as quickly as you would like. Because it was times like, oh man, they got to score right there because Chiefs gonna score again, but then defense got them ball right back. It was like, wow, it was a complete shocker of seeing Pat Mahomes have a meltdown in the playoff game. So I love to see it. Contrary to other Titans fans who didn't want the Bengals to win, I like the teams I lose to win it all because at least I can say we lost to the team that won. So I'm the exact opposite.
I know it definitely was a back and forth on Titans Twitter where we had some for and some against. Mm-hmm. Made for entertaining conversations, but that's one of the reasons I try and stay off because I don't want y'all to have receipts on me.
I know it.
But the crazy thing about Patrick Mahomes this entire second half, it's just how badly he regressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't anything just little either. It just was inconsistency after inconsistency. And it just continues to just look like just the quarterback that they had him progressed and why he fell so low he did in the draft. He can be inconsistent, and it tends to make him worse at times and make bad decisions. So Shark, really, is it something that's fixable, or is it something that I think the Chiefs are probably going to have to try and sit him down and see what's going on?
I think it's fixable. I think he just had a bad game, bad second half. I think some of the bad, what's that called? Like some of the bad habits he had early in the season, they came back. And that wasn't just him, the defense. Some of the bad habits the defense had in the beginning that, they got better in the middle of the season. They had a softer schedule, but when they started playing the real teams again, the defense got out of whack again. So it's still Pat Mahomes. I still think he's if not the best quarterback, he's top 2 in the NFL on a good day. So we'll see. I'm still afraid of him. It don't change nothing.
And most teams should be, and I don't think anybody's going to lose any side over Patrick Mahomes going forward. But what really just worries me, especially in most of the games that he played in the regular season, you saw those inconsistencies, especially early in the season, and it really almost cost him a chance at getting into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the biggest thing for Kansas City right now is, going forward, what's going to be the best thing for them to try and do to help elevate Patrick Mahomes to the level that he was a couple of years ago?
They need to stick to the run. That first half, they were running well. Second half, they decided not to run no more. Like, I think it's really as simple as that. The defense, they could try to improve the defense. I know their cap situation is good as well. They probably need to cut some defenders just to even try and get better on defense. So they got to draft well on defense. The defense got to at least get to average. It's still amazing that they've been to 2 Super Bowls and almost a third one in a row with a bad defense. They showed their defensive rankings yesterday. Like, they were like 21st, and 27. I was like, how do this team keep going to the Super Bowl? At some point, they're going to get better on defense, and showed in that game. Yep, exactly what Ryan said.
Exactly. They're definitely going to have to try and find some improvement on defense, especially with Tyrann Mathieu potentially leaving in free agency. So now you have a big hole there to fill at the safety position. So what's the best course of action? Are the running backs that they have right now good enough, or should they try and take a look at somebody in free agency, or should they try and draft somebody?
I think they're good enough. They just need to keep giving them the ball. Like, they're the type of team that it's kind of like the Buffalo Bills, how they just, for whatever reason, you don't like running the ball. Like, when you run it well sometimes. Just continue with it. I understand you got the great quarterbacks. I understand. But even Green Bay hadn't learned it. Aaron Rodgers was passing. They weren't running the ball. The last couple of years, they started to get Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, give them the carries and take some pressure off A-Rod. So you got to stick to it, especially when it's running well. When you're not running well, I can understand. But they were running well in the first half and just stopped.
And moving on from the Chiefs right now, you got to give props to what the Cincinnati Bengals offense is doing. And it all starts with their quarterback, Joe Burrow. And we continue to see him play at a level that's unfathomable in these playoffs and surrounded by an offensive line that's pedestrian at best. So, Shark, are we witnessing the next great quarterback in the league right now?
Yep. They call him Joe Cool for a reason, man. Showed him that last year at LSU when he arguably had the greatest season ever of a college quarterback that season. And now, second year in the league after coming off a torn ACL last year, and he had a pretty good rookie year before that torn ACL, including beating us in his second season. Going to the Super Bowl his second year with his his college receiver. It's amazing. I was one of the people who said they should draft Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, and it's working out. Although his offensive line is still trash, it's working out.
And I was one of those guys who was against the Chase draft. I'll admit it. I was wrong there. So I'll admit proudly I was wrong with that. Jamar Chase has been a breath of fresh air for this Cincinnati offense and even elevated them to the point of just being one of the scarier offenses in the league, and they really hit at the right time. So it just amazes me at just how fast this team has rebuilt itself, especially where it felt like they were going to come in possibly last in the division. You just didn't feel that good about them. Yep. You felt that maybe the Steelers were a little better than them in the situation they were in, quarterback-wise. But the fact that Joe Burrow has just emerged and continued to show that he can play at an elite level, and he's making people look ridiculous to it. We all saw what he did in Nashville. It's no secret. He took more punishment against a defense than I've seen possibly in the last 20 years. And he still won the game. Granted, there are some things that fell in favor of that, but we won't get into that. That's another day.
It happens.
But the thing I want to mention about Burrow is he's got the confidence of a Joe Namath. He's got the playing ability of a Joe Montana. So the way I see him play, it continues to impress me. Because someone at his age, coming in the league, knowing he's a first-round pick overall, guys sink or swim in those situations. But usually we see them, they have to progress over a while. Peyton Manning, it took him about 4 years to finally win a playoff game. And it took him about 6 years to finally win over New England. So the fact that Joe Burrow has come into the league and he is storming through these teams and playing with a very weak offensive line. And Joe Mixon's a good running back, but at times he's inconsistent. But I will give Joe Burrow all the credit in the world right now. He is doing things in the league that are basically going to start getting him noticed and get him on those top tiers of quarterback envy of all these other teams.
Yep.
So going forward, the Bengals have set themselves up in position to be the home team in the Super Bowl. What is the one thing they're going to have to do, especially missing their tight end, which is going to be a huge blow to them if he's going to be out for the season, and more than likely it is. What are they going to have to do to try and get past this potential Rams defense that'll be a problem?
Literally do the same thing they did against the Titans. We tapped them 9 times. The Rams defensive line is just as good, if not better than us. So, hey, he just going to remain as Joe Cool. But like I said, him missing Uzama is going to be big. But he's got to utilize Tyler Boyd more. That's like utilize T. Higgins and their big body. And, of course, Jamar Chase, man, you do what you do. I think with Jamar Chase, they're probably going to put Jalen Ramsey on him. They ain't going to worry about trying to double him. Just put Jalen Ramsey on him. And, hey, we just going to have to keep spreading it out. Joe Mixon going to have to open his eyes more and use some of his running lanes. He was missing some holes in the Kansas City game. But it's going to come down to their defense again because Matthew Stafford is known to give you some interceptions. He even did in the 49ers game. So they got a shot. If you can get sacked 9 times in the game and still come out and win, you got a shot.
Definitely be interesting to see how the Bengals will perform on the big stage in front of 100 million. Get some of our comments real quick. George Stokes says, I'm enjoying the show, Michael Bishop. I like your perspective on football. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that, George. Thank you. Our buddy Lewis Chesney, good one, Big Mike. Moving on, Bad Company, good song. Good taste, Lewis, good taste. Ryan Harris says, Joey B, the new Brady, and McPherson is the new Vinatieri. That's a good one. I like that.
McPherson cold, man.
And in the draft last year, I was huge on McPherson. Really? I was screaming at J-Rob to draft him. I know people don't draft kickers, but this kid had a great leg, and I got to watch a little bit of film on him that I could find, and he didn't miss from anywhere past 50.
Wow.
The accuracy that he showed was amazing, and it was just, I knew when Cincinnati drafted him, I was like, they got a kicker. They have a kicker. They're never going to have to worry about that. And I know a lot of people outside of Cincinnati really didn't get to know about him until the playoffs started. But as soon as I saw him trotting out against the Raiders, I was like, oh, no. This dude is going to be a problem. But I wish them the best of luck going forward. I like the kid, and, it's hard to find a good kicker in the NFL. So if you can find one, lock him up.
Right.
Lewis Chesney says, I agree, and Frank Tarkenton, which that's a good one, because Tarkenton ran a lot earlier in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see that combination. I would even go far as say, you could possibly say Roger Staubach earlier in his career. Ryan Harris says, I was too, Michael, but I knew Titan fans would have been pissed if they would have drafted a kicker. And I know, Ryan. I mean, at the same time, it's like, right. Don't get salty, y'all. We're not in the offices. We don't know what's going on. And when you're looking at guys in the draft and at the Senior Bowl, you're going to fall in love with somebody, and you're going to draft them if you have the opportunity to. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, with McPherson, that wasn't the case. So it happens. But moving on to the next game, and of course, the Bengals will match up against the LA Rams. I know we're all excited about that one, but hey, I will say this. It's nice to see Matthew Stafford just rise from the ashes like a phoenix, to go from the lows of Detroit and actually go to sunny California and actually have an opportunity at playing in his first Super Bowl. And especially, yesterday was a year to the day Detroit traded for Jared Goff, sending Matthew Stafford to the Rams. How fun is it when a year just flies by?
Right.
Especially if you're the Rams. So, Shark, will start with the 49ers right now, and they did everything they could to give this game away, it seems like, especially late in the fourth quarter. But I will say this for Jimmy Garoppolo, he is not going to be short on options going into free agency. But knowing that they've already basically traded Trey Lance, and they're going to get him in the fold next year, do you think that this team is still very much a Super Bowl contender, even trading in Garoppolo for Lance going forward?
I would say yes, but I still need to see what Trey Lance does. Although I'm not gonna say Jimmy Garoppolo is not good. He's very average. He wins. When he's on the field, they win a lot, right? So let's see if Trey Lance can take him over the next step. Can he not necessarily be Pat Mahomes, but can he be the Pat Mahomes to the Alex Smith? Can he be that type of quarterback, and not maybe not to the level of Pat Mahomes, but something? Can he upgrade them? So we'll see. They got the rest of the team. You got a superstar in Deebo Samuel over there who personally we should use AJ Brown and him are replicas to me. We should use AJ the same way, but I understand because AJ has the injury history. He gets hurt a lot. So, but you got Deebo. They gonna always be able to run the ball as long as Mike Shanahan there. Their zone rushing offense, whoever who it don't matter who is running back, they running the ball. They gonna find a way to get their yards. So they good. They got the talent. Offensive line. They got a good defense. Nick Bosa and all of those guys will be back. Fred Warner. So they all set up to still be contending, even with Trey Lance, depending on can Trey Lance be a little better than Jimmy G.
And really, Deebo being a key piece of that running game, and he just continues to just wow me with just his moves and just his field vision going down and just actually making those cuts that he does, it's just simply phenomenal. Definitely just, it's worthy of the archives of NFL films. Watching all those old running backs, Debo definitely just brings that old school flavor, and I love it.
Yep.
But, getting back to Garoppolo, I know he's done in San Francisco, but there's a lot of great pieces to start Trey Lance going forward. And like you said, it's really just getting him ready to see what he can do, what he can accomplish out there. I mean, we've heard, who people have been comparing him to. Few of them have been comparing him to Steve McNair, from what I've heard. And that's a pretty big statement to try and back up.
Right.
But you also look at the defensive side of the ball, and you've still got a cluster of young talent there that's going to continue to flourish. But you're probably going to have a few guys that are going to end up wanting an extension. And more than likely, I'd say Bosa's going to be the one that rings that bell first.
Yep.
But with the defense, what's one thing that they're going to need to focus on, especially trying to just keep these games a little further apart in order to just get in the victory formation?
The secondary. that was their weakness. That was their weakness all season. Secondary. They need some cornerbacks, safeties. The guy who dropped the pick, Tart. That was bad. Jimmy Ward wanted revenge on Odell. That stupid 15-yard late hit penalty. Can't do stuff like that in the championship game. You got the lead, man. But overall, their secondary has been their weakest link this whole season. So definitely, they got to do whatever they got to do to get that secondary up.
And looking at the Rams, Stan Kroenke just continues to show that he's going to do whatever it takes to bring Vince Lombardi Trophy to the city of Los Angeles. And, of course, for the NFL, that's a big win, especially in that market base. And the Rams getting in the Super Bowl, that just basically sets up their fan base even further. And if you're a Chargers fan, sucks to be you. But it just goes to show how important the quarterback position is and why the Rams made this move. And at first glance, I didn't think too much of it. I felt, it's a fair trade in itself. But it's already showed itself. It's miles away from what it potentially was when we looked at it the first year. So how crazy is it seeing Matthew Stafford just elevate his game finally and be the quarterback that he was supposed to be the last 13 years?
I mean, in my opinion, he's still the same quarterback. He had some run after, especially the Titans game, and at the end of the season, he had some picks. I think he do like 5 pick sixes or something. He was kind of looking a little shaky, but I think that Tampa Bay game, he turned it around that last drive. That passed to Cooper Kupp. I was like, okay, there we go. That's the Matthew Stafford that they wanted, that they drafted. Even yesterday's game, he had turned the ball over like early in the red zone, but he overcame it, and the comeback. He got the final drive. He came down, got in the field goal range to get 3 points, and essentially won because we knew Jimmy G wasn't going to do the same.
And going forward to the Super Bowl right now with the Rams offense, what's the one thing they're going to have to do to try and make it compatible, especially against the Bengals defense that's really shocking everybody right now? What's one thing they're going to have to try and expose on that defense, more than likely?
Their running game is okay, but I guess, man, keep giving to your weapons. Cooper Kupp specifically. Cooper Kupp, I mean, there's nobody matching up with Cooper Kupp. Man, you got to throw it to him 20 times. You do what you got to do. Just take advantage of your mismatches. Try not to turn it over. That's easier said than done, especially with Matthew Stafford and the ball hawking Cincinnati Bengals that they've been this postseason with Jesse Bates and Mike Hilton and the crew. So it's a tough task. Their defense, they're probably going to need more in their defense to get them short fields, and they're going to take advantage of the short fields, in my opinion.
And basically setting up for an interesting Super Bowl. 2 4 seeds going to Inglewood, California. And I felt that was just crazy. I can't remember the last time we've seen 2 seeds in the same ranking meet each other in a Super Bowl. So, especially just on the first glance, do you feel like the expansion in the playoffs was a success?
I like how you omit the Titans.
That's a glitch in the Matrix. That never happened.
Like a team missing out here.
Nothing happened there. You didn't miss anything.
Oh man. So far, it's been decent. I mean, well, this year is bad. The 7 seeds got whooped this year, but I know the Colts did really well as the 7 seed last year. So it's been okay. I don't think they're gonna change anything. But like the Steelers getting it, really, what should have happened was the Chargers should not call a timeout, let the game be a tie, and you would have had a legit decent number 7 seed with the Chargers or Raiders or Patriots. But the Chargers decided to charger themselves and allow the Steelers to get in the playoffs, and that's what you get over there. NFC was kind of low anyway. If Jameis Winston never tears his ACL, then they had the Saints in the playoffs and had a better team than the Eagles. But the Eagles, and they deserved it. They got in, so I think it's decent. I think it's been decent, but they're not gonna change and go back to 6.
Definitely set up for some really interesting football, and like you said, I think the stay with this format, they might even expand it down the road. So it's another we'll see scenario. But I think a very successful go around, especially with everything. Ryan Harris says the Rams are the Brooklyn Nets of the NFL.
Yep.
I won't disagree with that. Louis Chesney also brings up Goff got screwed, in my opinion, only.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah, I know he did go to the Super Bowl, but he wanted to meet.
And Eli Apple definitely got exposed, but a redemption story of high quality. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we have got Titan Man here. We're going to get him on. We have got a special interview with Titan Man. Get this break in real quick. You're watching the Power Hour, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining this Monday evening. And I do not own rights to that music. This is only for entertainment purposes only, so please don't sue me. I don't have anything. You're not going to get anything. I mean, what, do you want my laptop? You want my lights? I mean, you can try, but I mean, come on. It's for entertainment. I'm here for entertainment. Well, all right, everybody. It is great to have you in on this Monday evening, and we have Titan Man waiting in the wings, and we will get to him in just a second. But I want to give P-Shark another chance to let the fans know where to find him and on all his formats.
Yep. Remember to follow me on Twitter, LBR Titan Up, or my personal Twitter at @the_P-Shark. And listen to me on YouTube at Let's Tighten Up Pod, or any podcast platform, Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, you name it, any podcast platform. Check me out.
Check out the GOAT, y'all. You're missing out if you don't.
All right.
And we're going to get in Titan Man right now. And Titan Man, you are on the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us tonight. Titan Man, do we have you on the air? We're having some technical difficulties. Titan Man, are you there? Ground control, do we have Titan Man? And we will try again. We will try and get him again real quick in just a minute. So sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. But these things happen. We just got to run with it. So we'll try again in just a moment. But I will go ahead and put up our next segment while we are doing that. So going forward, I know we had a lot of questions, especially with this year, and we felt cheated, and that's understandable. You wanted so badly to get this year in and just know that we had a chance to be successful, and it just didn't play out like that. But hey, it's okay. You got to take the positive with the bad. So I took myself out of my comfort zone, and I said, what were at least some things that Tennessee did well? And I came up with a list, and these were the following. These are 5 things that I felt stood out about the regular season and the Titans' regular season. You got to find some good with the bad, and we'll start with the first one. And that's our GM, J-Rob. Continually, once again, showing the way and just handling business. The man's a whiz at what he does, and he continually finds ways to get the team to be better. In the last 6 years, he's continually put consistency into this team, and in the last 2, he's elevated it by taking chances. So, Shark, with J-Rob, it's a slippery slope for some, but what's the very thing that's made him just one of the top GMs in this league right now?
Like you said, he's going to take some chances. Sometimes he hits, sometimes he misses. That's with any GM. And, I never understood the J-Rob hate or the people who are against him. It just, you always get on a draft. He drafted Isaiah Wilson. Okay, so, the other guy I wanted in the draft, Jeff Gladney, where he at now? Vikings got him, and he's not even in the league anymore, just like Isaiah, So, things happen, man. You're not going to hit on every single pick. And it's a draft. You got 7 rounds. Even this year's draft, people were mad about Dez Fitzpatrick. He was a 4th round pick. I don't expect, to me personally, it's the first 3 rounds are picks I'm expecting to contribute and be starters. After that, I'm looking for a rotation of players or players who can hopefully benefit in special teams and anything. So, I mean, he's definitely hit. He took a chance. He took chances that the Titans typically don't do. I didn't think we was going to trade for Julio Jones, but guess what? We did. Did it work out? No, because he had hamstring injuries, right? And that's nothing you could do about that. I'm glad we took the shot, and he will probably be back next year. So, and he was back at the end of the season when it mattered most, and he played well in the playoff game. So, he takes chances to trade for Ryan Tannehill. Moving on from Mario to Tannehill, you had to do that, and that took you from fringe playoff team to division winner and consistent playoff team. So, he takes the chances. He improved the team. He saw they had a problem with defense last year. What he did the whole offseason. Retooled the whole defense. What are you going to do this offseason? Probably retool the whole offense. So, man, trusting J-Rob, y'all, I know we won the Super Bowl. I know we won it badly, but these past 6 years, man, you can't trade them. I mean, it beats the previous 8 years before this last 6-year run. So, man, just appreciate what we got right now, man. It's very nice to know we at least have a team that's competitive, and we have a shot every year.
Agreed. And I've got another link with Titan Man. We'll try him again. Titan Man, are you on? Do we have Titan Man on? Are you there? Once again, the bugs are out in full force. Titan Man is trying to get on, but unfortunately, there's an invisible force trying to hold us from having his awesome presence on the show. So I do apologize for that. We'll continue to try and see if we can get him on here, but we'll move forward. I'll leave the feed on. Hopefully, maybe he'll pick up on that. But another thing that came up, especially this year, the defense became a key strength going forward. And you have to appreciate, especially with all the question marks going into the season, especially with Shane Bowen, that this team, was it going to elevate or was it going to be the weakness? And it very much became the strength. So, once again, another testament to Mike Vrabel's coaching style and actually implementing the defense that he wanted in the first place. So, Shark, really, the defense to me has nowhere to go but up. And if they can continue to draft the way that they have, especially on the defensive side, they could be very, very much an elite defense.
Yep, we on our way. And we internally upgraded that linebacker. David Long came out and just took over this year. Then we got a chance to get Zach Cunningham, so we upgraded that linebacker. Although I didn't think our linebackers were bad, we upgraded. Secondary, I still believe in. A lot of people already rule Caleb Farley a bust. What? Like, give him a chance to come out this torn ACL, y'all. He had back concerns coming to the draft, and he tore his ACL. That has nothing to do with your back. So, yeah, you judge a player off of wrong stuff, man. Like, give him a chance to come back. I still believe in Caleb Farley, Christian Fulton, Elijah Molden, secondary, along with Kevin Byard and Martin Hooker. But like you said, we can only go up. Like, if Caleb Farley turns out to be what they think he could become, we entering elite top 5 defense territory at that point.
And once again, like you said, just with Farley coming in the mix and with Weaver coming in the mix, we can eventually just see that this defense is going to continue to add pieces. So, if you had the opportunity to talk to Harold Landry face to face and tell him, anything you wanted to try and keep him, what would be your message to him?
Man, you see, you just had your best season when this past season when Bud Dupree and Danico Autry came. You got Bud Dupree and Danico Autry signed long term. You got Jeffrey Simmons, who definitely here another 2 years, and he definitely gonna be long term. Y'all, this 4 can be the best defensive line in the NFL for years to come.
And we'll try Tight Man again. Tight Man, do you have a take on the defense? And if Tight Man could speak, I'd say he says the defense was phenomenal and they need to continue to do what they're doing and continue to add pieces and help us get to that Super Bowl. So I apologize again for not being able to get Tight Man on here. We are just having technical difficulties. Hopefully we can get him on. We're going to try and do what we can. But the next point I'd like to make is just the gauntlet. And that was the stretch of the season where I knew was going to be the make or break time for this team. And the fact that they were able to roll out 5 in a row against teams we knew were going to be in the playoffs, against Buffalo, against Kansas City, the Colts, we'll just say for argument's sake, for the Rams, and for a Saints team starting at the season where we felt that they could be a contender, I felt that was the key component there. And Shark, out of all these games, what was the one that was really the one that just got everybody's attention?
One that got everybody's attention, really the Rams. I mean, I am biased because I did fly out to LA for that game. I would say that one because that was right after Derrick Henry got hurt. You heard y'all. Titans season is over. That's it. Yada yada. And we came out and picked off Matthew Stafford twice, including pick 6, and completely took over the game in LA. And there was a lot of Titan fans there. Like, you would have been shocked. Like, just being in the stadium, I was like, man, like, this is really almost like 50-50 split between Titans and Rams fans out here. So I would say that Rams game stood out because, you heard after the Bills game, that was a fluke. You heard after the Chiefs game, the Chiefs, they were 3-4 after the game, and the Chiefs that fell off. After the Colts game, you could say that was a fluke. You remember the whole interception, fumble, we got the ball right back, then AJ scored a touchdown, that little scenario. Then it's Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz do the game in the picks pretty much. Then the Saints game, Trevor Simeon was star. Jameis Winston was out. So I think the Rams game was the one that stood out the most. That kind of put the attention, woke everybody up about the Titans.
And really going forward, that was one of the bigger games. And another one that I felt was key, especially that it was a potential playoff matchup. The Kansas City game to me was a big test, and I felt, especially if we're going to measure up how good we're going to be going forward in the season, we had to go out and dominate on the defensive front against Patrick Mahomes, and the fact that they did was just not only eye-opening, but it's just basically a wake-up call to the NFL, like, here are the Titans. Y'all better start paying attention.
Yep.
Titan Man, do we have you?
His mic on mute.
That's what I would have thought, but the bugs are out in full force and they're just trying to hold back everything. Not cool. We've got a great guest on here and we can't get him on. But we'll go ahead and move forward to our next one while we're waiting. And my apologies to Titan Man for this. I take full responsibility. Moving on to our next one, of course, Coach Vrabel continues to take the Tennessee Titans to new heights. In this season, 12-5, two-time division champ, and put them at the 1 seed in the playoffs for the time being. And I know he gets criticism as well, and it's easy to, especially with the way he runs the locker room, and some people consistently want to find flaw with the way he coaches. And, of course, they continue to bring up the fact that he really wasn't a good defensive coordinator. But I'll argue the fact, on his behalf, Not every coach that ends up being a head coach was really a good coordinator in the first place. There's plenty of coaches that turn it out to be good head coaches when they get the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shark, going forward, what's Vrabel going to have to do to get his team in the mindset to play with the likes of the Kansas Cities and the Cincinnatis and the Rams right now?
I think we already are. We just need to get over the hump in the playoffs. We already, like I said, that 5-game stretch, we did it there. Like we've arrived the last 2 years. Even last year with that atrocious defense going 11-5. Despite that bad defense, this year all the injuries, 91 players, like ain't no way you're supposed to finish 12-5. Especially when you're missing your 3 best offensive players. Like AJ, Julio, and Derrick Henry played together. All 3 of them only finished 4 games together. Games that they all started and finished the game. There were games like when AJ got hurt early or Julio got hurt, they ain't play again. So, man, for us to go 12-5 throughout that, my Vrabel has set the culture. He set the standard. Man, it's only looking forward. It's only up for us as a whole organization. I know I hear a lot of fans talk about a potential rebuild in a couple years. Why can't we just retool? Like teams can be good over a long period of time. It got to just be like a 5-year run, and that's it.
And that's the frustrating thing. It's like there's no need to rebuild anything. You just revamp things. You retool, you revamp. And that's really what Tennessee's at the position of right now. They're an older team. And older teams, if they want to continue to be successful, you've got to get younger guys. You've got to get fresher legs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with the talent we have right now.
Right.
Revitalize the inner circle of it. Don't break up the circle.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, finally, and the most important point, in my opinion, Tennessee did it without Derrick Henry.
Exactly.
They played a half season without their key player and still found a way to contend for the 1 seed, to contend all throughout, even with some ugly losses. And they were ugly, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all expected to beat Pittsburgh. We all expected to beat, the Texans, but it just didn't happen. Things didn't fall that way. But I will say this. Out of those games, it wasn't a lack of trying.
Thank you.
It was a lack of playmakers.
Thank you. Thank you.
As bad as Tannehill could be at times, you can't rely on a guy to consistently throw balls out to players that can't catch them consistently.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's not a knock on the guys that were out there. It's just situational. When you have a quarterback that has a comfort with his players and they're not there, he's not going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of the few guys that's out there that's defending Tannehill. I'm not defending what he did, but I'm defending his longer stretch of work. And I have to look at it from that standpoint. You have to take in consideration what he's done. Can he be the long-term answer? That's yet to be remain seen. I think at some point you do have to find a replacement. But right now, you can't rock the boat right now. It's a delicate situation. And with players that are your key cogs in the machine, you need them to be with you. Not against you. Give Jimmy Garoppolo credit. They drafted a quarterback to replace him, and he could have turned it into a very ugly situation. But he didn't. Mm-hmm. Now, will Tannehill do the same if we draft a quarterback? I don't know. I'm not him. I can't speak for him. But I will say this. You have to handle it delicately. You have to build for the future, but at the same time, you cannot alienate the guys that are helping you along the way. And we'll try one more time for Titan Man. Hopefully this works. Titan Man, do we got you, buddy? I sound like a trucker. Titan Man, do we got you? We keep definitely get a buzzing, so someone's there. We're trying to get him on. It's just not been a very successful run trying to get him on, and I apologize for that. That's technical difficulties on my part, so my apologies to Titan Man. We will try one more time. to get him on. So I hate for that he can't get on the show. So I apologize for that. That's my fault. My bad. But P. Shark getting back to the situation with Tennessee right now. If you have to find a replacement at this point, what's the best way to go about it going forward?
And to me, it's trade. If you trade, it got to be an upgrade. And to me, that's Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. I would personally prefer to try to go after Russell Wilson because of Aaron Rodgers is a deal. It just keep 100, and the Titans team culture is not that. Russell Wilson kind of fits that. So if you can make that trade, make it. If you can't, stick with Tannehill. I've been of the opinion of drafting the quarterback a la Jimmy G situation, a la Alex Smith situation. And I do believe Tannehill is of the mindset of like a Jimmy G and Alex Smith where he's still going to play up. He's still going to, y'all going to bring him in. It might bring the best out of him, in my opinion. You might avoid those 3 picks in the playoff game. But that's the way I would go. The hard thing about that is we don't have a second-round pick. So drafting a quarterback in the first round and not having a second-round pick does make the decision a whole lot tough. And you could just say, hey, let's add a speed receiver. Let's add a tight end. Let's revamp the O-line, and let's see what happens next year. And I'm fine with that decision, too, if they actually do that.
And that's a fair point. I think that's some options that we can try and weigh going forward. And, I mean, I've got a lot of things I can say on the whole situation, but, we've only got so much time, and I'm sure you've got to get dinner. But I don't want to hold everybody up on that, and we got a whole off season to talk about that. So I genuinely want to, make sure everybody has a chance to, try and get a situation to get in the best way they can and have their opinion. We've got to do something and move forward. But at this point, I know Tennessee is going to have to try and find a replacement there, and it's one of those situations you have to find the right guy, and it's a thin draft, first off.
It is.
There's got to be a guy that you fall in love with.
Uh-huh.
And really, P. Shark, is there any guy right now in this draft that stands out that could be a difference maker?
Me personally, no. But no, you never know what happens in you see the combine pro day. They might fall in love with someone. If it's somebody I do like, it was Kenny Pickett, but he's out of our range. I think maybe I would take a shot at Malik Willis, but I'm not sure. I don't like Desmond Ritter. I don't like Matt Corral. So, be honest, it's really not someone I love right now. But that could be swung. I mean, we'll see what happens at the pro days and everything if they fall in love with someone. But we're missing that second round pick in the Julio trade. That does hurt some because it's like, dang, we dropped a quarterback. You ain't drafting impact guy to the third round because your quarterback is sitting this year. Yeah, Tannehill still starting next year if you're drafting a quarterback. On the way Tannehill does start is if you trade him.
And there could be a market out for him if he wants to be, if they could find a trader and take on, a bulk of his salary. But I mean, there's a lot to get into there.
Yeah.
And really, like I said, we could be here all night talking about that, but I know these people don't have that much time. And George Stokes brings up one of my thoughts on the media bailing out on Tannehill right now. And I'm not surprised. That's what they do, especially when you see a quarterback struggle at this mentality. He's in his mid-30s, and unfortunately in those situations, they're going to go after guys that aren't performing. And at this point right now, it's Tannehill. So you just look at the situation he's in right now, and what I'm hoping for going forward is that he takes this as motivation.
Exactly.
And you take the negative energy, you take that negative feedback, and you turn it into something positive. He's still the leader of this team. He still has the ability to do something right now and help get this team to where they need to go. I think next year's his make or break deal. I think he has to take everything serious. I think he has to be on page with all his receivers, the ones that are here now and the ones that eventually get drafted. This is your moment. It didn't work out in Miami for a reason because they didn't give you enough opportunities to find out what you needed to go forward. But you have that here. You have a GM that's going to go out and give you the best opportunity to have playmakers. You've got a head coach that's going to do whatever you can to make you successful. Now, I know we're going to argue about Todd Downing, but at the same time, if that's something we're going to have to deal with,
we got to deal with it.
We'll deal with it.
Yep.
But in the same process, let's hope it's something that can be worked out. Some guys can have a bad first season as an offensive coordinator. Some can bounce back.
Exactly.
I know his history as an offensive coordinator hasn't been sterling, but when we have to work, when you got to make lemons out of something, you got to take lemons and make lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get in that situation, that's what has to happen. So, Shark, if you had an opportunity to try and make a difference with the offense, what's one thing you would do to try and make Tannehill's life a little easier?
Yeah, we still have Tannehill. I would say I am on team get rid of Todd Downing, but I am also a reasonable person. He might be back, right? Actually, in my episode tomorrow is on hypotheticals on him and Todd Downing and Ryan Tannehill next season. So I'm actually going over there tomorrow. But it's to get rid of Todd Downing. But if not, we saw what's the problem with the offense. I know we had injuries. We had 3 playmakers, but tight end was a horrible position. The offensive line, they wasn't that good, and we're getting older. Like, it's time to revamp the offensive line, get a tight end, and we still need a third receiver, a speed receiver. If they don't want to throw those screens to A.J. Brown and throw that chest to Rodgers, get an actual receiver, a solid receiver that can actually run those screen passes effectively, and possibly get like a Chester Rodgers did decent as a punt return, but get a dynamic return, man. Like, we haven't had that since Mark Mariani. Like, it's been a while.
And it has been a while. And once again, I don't want to give everything away because there's a lot of off-season to get off. And, we'll definitely get into that going forward. There's plenty of conversations about drafts and free agency. Hey, we can't do everything on one show. Y'all wouldn't have anything to look forward to. So,
yep.
If I let you eat cake all night, you're going to get sick. So I'm helping you all out. So, unfortunately, we're not able to get Titan Man on here, and I apologize for that. It just looks like it's not going to cooperate. So, my apologies, Titan Man. I'm going to do whatever I can to get you on the show. If I physically have to drive out to your area and do a one-on-one interview, I'll do it. I got the off season. I got nothing but time, y'all, and I got vacation time coming up from work. So if I got to, I will, because I'm that dedicated to this craft, and I will do everything I can to get more viewers on here. Shark knows I'm crazy enough to do it.
For sure.
Well, all right, guys. We have had a great show tonight. I want to thank P Shark once again for joining me tonight and having another great discussion with football and with everything going on. And like him to get another shout out while he's got the time. Shark, let them know where to find the GOAT at.
Yeah, man. Appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you for bringing me on again. Like I said, good show once again. Follow me at LBR Titan Up. Matter of fact, follow me now. I will have those hypothetical questions up tomorrow in Twitter posts before I talk about it on my show. Live at 7:30 tomorrow on YouTube at Let's Tighten Up Pod page. And you can listen to it after the show in the podcast platform on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, Stitcher, you name it. Man, follow my regular account, the _P Shark. I talk about more than just I rather talk about Titans because I use my Titans page to talk about. I'm a Grizzlies fan. I got a Grizzlies podcast, Memphis Grizzlies. So just see the John Moran jersey in the background. Talk about other sports. Memphis Tigers and Tennessee Vols fan in college in both football and basketball. So check me out.
He's going to keep himself busy in the offseason, whether it be football or basketball. And some good basketball, by the way. John Morant burning through the league at this moment. So check him out. He's worth a watch. He's worth a listen. Dubbed the GOAT. We'll give him the GOAT title here. Shark, great having you on, man. Always a pleasure. We'll keep bringing you on as long as you want to keep coming.
Definitely.
And everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us once again tonight. I apologize to Titan Man for not being able to get him on the show. I will get him on the show one way or the other. If I got to drive to his house and interview him, I'll do it. So, sure. Titan Man, if you are out there, I promise you, I will get you on this show one way or the other. So, my apologies tonight for that. And I hope you all have enjoyed the show tonight. I'm Michael Bishop with the Power Hour. Take care and tighten up. Thank you for watching the Power Hour.